What's going on, everyone? This is Sheets, and along with Adam Perry, we're going to go over this enormous slate. It looks like was it full 15 games or something? I can't even count how many of them. Uh, all the way across the board, uh, and we'll see if we can't make heads or tails of it. And it's funny. Adam brought, he made a pretty keen observation, maybe 5 or 6 slates ago since we've been doing these is that some people get really bogged down when there's a really, really big slate. Okay. And the funny thing is that the people that really, really know ball and hand build and like try to like get edges like each individual player or whatever, like the bigger the slate it is, like the less advantage they have. And if you have a nice little system that can make heads or tails of billions and billions of variables, like the more variables there are, the better it is for being somewhat automated and like some kind of a system. So it's like my process, for example, and Adam's similarly, I presume, is takes no longer for a 15 game slate than it is for a 5 game slate. It's literally the same because it's the same or sim, the algorithms, whatever it is, it's going to sift through like 1 billion bits of data in pretty much the same amount of time that's going to sift through 500 million. But the people that just kind of just go game by game and just try to say, okay, is it A versus B and B versus E? The bigger the slate is, the worse they're going to be.
Yeah. Well, and if you do no ball and you have a little edge, I mean, it's a little edge, right? Like it's a little bit better. Now that's exacerbated on a small slate.
Yep.
On a big slate, if you know that just Nick Pivetta is going to have has a 5% better chance of having a better game than hitting,
Yep.
So
that's one thing. Second of all right. So have you taken a look at the weather for today or no?
I have. Do you hear me echoing?
No, I hear you fine.
Okay, that's weird. I hear an echo. I'll figure it out. Hopefully other people are hearing it. See if anyone put it in chat. Put it in chat if you hear it. So I see the weather. There's like an orange yellow in New York and Chicago.
New York, like here in New York?
Yeah. You notice anything?
Yeah, that's possible. I gotta listen. Roth is great, but I gotta ask Mrs. Sheets about this type of thing. So, yeah. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that one. The other thing I do want to, again, I'm going to start, again, I don't know if I'll keep doing this, but so just to take a look, again, I just find it interesting to take a look at like my projections going into today to see like where it all, what it all sort of looks like. This is another slate where if you just look at pitching, for example, there's very little difference. I mean, if you sort by Sheets value score, right? Between like the top 3 and then a little bit of a gap down to like some others. So it's a wild one today. And even like projected ownership, I have 25% for Hunter Brown and about the same for Logan Gilbert. But there's I don't know if anybody can really assert themselves as far as being like the best play and being like a chalk play or something like that. And when I look at the stacks, again, just the way kind of I rate them, usually, I mean, almost always you have like one stack that like is kind of lays over the field. But today you have, the way at least I ranked them, you got Atlanta and Boston like above, and then like a bunch, you know what I mean? Like Toronto, Minnesota, Miami. And you know what? That's really the way it should be with hitting. It's like there should be a lot of opportunities. So again, this is not the way I play. I don't just kind of look at it in the hand build, but I do like to, I don't know, I do like to prepare sort of, at least mentally, for what I could be getting. Now, sometimes I just don't even look at all. I don't even care. I just put my projections up, fire this up or whatever. I don't know. I think it's sort of healthy to see. So it's like if I do see like a whole bunch of Brian Bello, it's going to be, well, you know what? That makes sense. He projected pretty well for me, So anyway, what we're going to do is same as usual. I'm going I'm gonna share, I guess, my screen today, or you could share yours. Doesn't really make a difference, but I'll share mine, I guess. And Adam will do his on the side. I wonder if, you know what we could do? Maybe Brandon can work on this. I wonder, I know we can, if we could both share the screen at the same time, where like people could look at your SaberSim and mine at the same time. I'll bet you we can do it.
There's gotta be.
There's just gotta be a way. For both of us to share the screen at the same time. We're gonna look into that. But for now, again, let's just put this into context. On DraftKings, when I'm playing 1 in the big buy-in, which is the Mega 8. I'm playing 60 in the bat flip, and I'm actually taking a shot. I'm way more than I always play, but at this qualifier, I'm playing the full 10 at $190 entry fee, which is this is by far the most I play. I usually only play like 2 at the most. But I don't know. I'm just kind of in the mood, so I want to take a shot at that one. And again, big slate. I really prefer the big slates for the reasons that I kind of enunciated earlier. You know what I mean? So we're doing all that, and we're just what I'm gonna do, I guess, is I'm gonna be in. Well, when you use this beta mode, you want to start by making sure you have this little skull and crossbones here in the tab, as opposed to this little calendar icon, I guess. So that'll give you the opportunity at least to change between views. We'll get there in a second. But is Sheets echoing too? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm asking because I'm getting a major echo, and I don't know if it's you, but chat's asking to. No, not on you. Okay, I'm gonna go on mute and try and figure it out. Sorry, guys.
Okay, all right. Okay, so why did someone say that you were echoing? I don't even know. Eric says no echo at all. So I don't know what. I think it's just on your end. No echo for Sheet. Was there any echo for Adam when he was talking? If anybody noticed that. Yeah. So
I noticed it too.
You notice what? Oh, you notice. But you're only hearing it. No one else hears it except for you, I think.
No, I think they do.
Oh, I don't see that. That's the thing. I'm in the chat. I don't really see any of that. Okay. So let's leave and come back, Kevin. All right. You try that, Adam. Oh, Adam is echoing bad. Okay, there it is. Okay, yeah. So leave and come back. In the meanwhile, I'm gonna shout out to Efro. Efro will not be winning the World Series of Poker main event this year, unfortunately. He bustoed in in day 2, so he did not make it to day 3. Bobby, I think, starts his day 3 today. Now we're going to start over, and Adam, why don't you start talking again and seeing if the echo is still there?
Yeah, here's the test. It's still echoing.
It's still echoing for you?
All right. Let me play around with it. All right, guys.
All right, I'm just going to proceed on, and then if he works that out, you can come on back. And you can always, or you can just play with the settings in the background there and just keep on testing. It doesn't matter to me at all. So I'm uploading my projections here, and again, my first little test when I upload my customs is if I'm like close at least to SaberSims. Just want to make sure some greens or some reds, and that makes some sense. And there's no real huge differences, at least at this point. By the way, I'm starting again to compare ownerships to actual to projected. Now I do that in the non-late swap sports because it's real. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of easy to compare those. Like these are your ownership projections. This is what they were, and how close were you? But with late swap sports, it's so hard because you have to figure out when you're making the projection. Is it after the slate's already started and all of this stuff? So I did just for kicks, did baseball yesterday, and me, the industry, everybody was as predicted, and that's an interesting point, way low on Boston. Boston ended up like 30. Some of them were like 30% owned in the lottos. So, and we sort of knew that. We sort of knew instinctively they would be because they projected really well. So it becomes this constant GTO game of where the more you up the ownership projections, then maybe the less they will actually be owned. Because of because of the way the sims are working nowadays. So yeah. Oh, so okay, Rick, I will share certainly my wins and losses for yesterday. Here are my wins. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, baseball was no good for me yesterday. Okay. So we are uploading. I uploaded the projections, and I'm building now. I'm building 20,000 lineups, and again, I just kind of have access to that ability here, and let's see what we have here. Templates, one group for contest. Why am I unable though to run the sims from this? Sims cannot run when there are. What does that say? Let's see what this says here. Did I not build my lineups yet? Maybe I didn't build my lineups yet. Let's just see. Okay, so let's build lineups. Oh, okay, I'm building my lineups, and I'm not requesting maximum 5-mans or minimum 5-mans or 5-4s or 5-3s or anything like that. I'm just going to kind of run it, and we'll just kind of see what we get. I'd like to think that with 20,000 lineups, that I would end up getting a whole bunch of 5-mans. For sort of reasons that Adam enunciated yesterday. Just the more lineups you have, the more likely you'll get the lineups that make sense. Adam's point was a little bit different. Adam's point was that the more lineups that you're running, the more likely little differences in projections won't matter as much overall. That they'll all kind of I think the word he used was coalesce into the same pool, sort of. If everybody's using 1 million lineups, right? I mean, everybody's gonna get the same million at the end of the day, right? Right. Okay, so he said something. Let's see if the void.
Nah.
It's no
I'm
good.
gonna just get off, and I'm gonna ask Brandon.
Okay.
All right. Sorry, guys.
No problem. And I'm going to be curious to see what we get right off the bat. And we're going to look at a couple of different views here. So first, we're gonna run the contest sims, and then we're going to look at it in 2 different views. Now, you see here this little table, and the key thing here is this diversity setting. So as you guys might remember, I mean, for a while, the way that you can, get diversity or diversification in your lineups was to make sure you have enough min uniques between lineups. And I went over different techniques to how to make that work, for quite a long time. And then there were different upgrades to SaberSim over the last year or two. One of them about 6 months ago, where they said, you know what, you don't have to do that as much because we're kind of doing a better job knowing that you have 150 lineups or 300 lineups or 3,000 lineups and diversifying for you. But I've always been saying since I started doing DFS that one thing that no one's doing yet is really trying to look at DFS on a portfolio basis. And people look at it on a player basis and to some degree in a lineup basis. And in the last year, people started looking at things in a portfolio basis for each contest. Like you could say, okay, I want 20% this, 20% this, 15% this within the same contest. But what about looking at it as terms of your entire DraftKings portfolio? Like if you're playing like all these different contests, maybe it's smart to have diversification among all of your money that's being put in and not look at it from contest to contest. And that's what this portfolio diversification tool purports to do. So right now it's sort of in beta for me, meaning that I'm kind of testing it out to see what kind of differences are. Like, okay, let's start, for example, with looking at it in portfolio diversification mode. It says diversity, portfolio, whatever. So when we run it like that, what we're getting as far as pitching goes is Brian Bello at 38%, followed by Logan Gilbert at 30%, followed by Robbie Ray at 23%, and then Hunter Brown at 16%. And what I want to do is remember this so that when I change it to diversification mode, which does not take into account the whole portfolio, like how things change. Likewise, when it comes to team stacks, you're going to get, look, 34% Atlanta, 21% Boston, 16 Chicago, and 15 Toronto. Now, again, this is across all my different lineups, right? So some are going to be, one's going to be in the mega eights, one going to be in the ball four, some are going to be in the qualifier, some are going to be in the battery, and some's going to be in the bat flip. So let's go, instead of diversifying it by portfolio, let's diversify it by uniques. Yeah, exactly. That's what it's trying to do, is think like an investment manager. So I am, by the way, extraordinarily convinced that let's go back. Oh, right. I'm very convinced that it's insanely flawed. Okay, I'm 100% sure that, I don't want to say it the wrong way, but I'm 100% sure that it's terrible. But it's probably an improvement over no consideration of portfolio management. So, and again, just because the people that are doing it are just, they're not, they've never really thought about it this way. And so they're trying to program their algorithms to reflect that. And so this is their first shot. And I know that if they continue to go down this road, 2-3 years from now, whatever, this is going to be so, much better. But right now, it just the way technology works, I hate to say it this way, but it just has to be bad. All right. So we'll see. So when you compare this, so this is a look at what like the original way of looking at this stuff was, where we're building it, we're simming it, and we're looking at it just by diversifying it by min uniques. Okay. And you see an incredible difference. All right. For openers, you have 47% Gilbert, which makes some sense. But then you have 30% Kyle Freeland. Okay. Now, for those who have been playing, DFS and using SaberSim for a while, this is the type of thing that you sort of get used to with SaberSim, is them taking some big positions with like direct leverage. Like sometimes if a pitcher is going to be really highly owned, it look really good, it will just go ahead and play the opposite, the opposing hitters. And likewise, sometimes it'll take, you take Boston, who probably looks really good, and it will take Kyle Freeland as a really big, leverage spot against it. It also could be just because he's only 5K, maybe just a good point per dollar play in general. Now, when you look at it in terms of team stacks, Atlanta still stays near the top, but when you're in like just regular diversification mode, like maybe min uniques 2, then you have Arizona as showing up as the top stack. Now, again, all this means is that, let's think about this. Someone that's watching this for the first time and say, "Oh, okay, Eric, that means you like Arizona, or that means you think Atlanta is good," whatever it is. It's not really about that. I mean, I hate to be evasive, but all that it means is that given what I am playing, right? Given the amount of lineups I'm playing in these particular contests, and given these projections, this is what I'm going to get. Like if you're out there, let's say Jenna Sandy, let's say that all you do is play, I don't know, just the lottery. Just play the let's say you play 150 entries in the 2 lottery contests, and use the same, projections I do and the same processes I do. You might get you'll get a completely different portfolio of stacks. So that's why when people say, "Oh, you like Arizona," it's really not particularly relevant, because the way you're supposed to play DFS, especially when you're playing multiple lineups, is you're supposed to put the right lineups in the right contest given what you're playing. Okay. So I don't know. I think that's really important. And now, of course, here comes a decision of what to do. Like, do I use the portfolio diversification settings? Do I use the min, the sim diversity or whatever, this one, the min uniques 2 setting? It unfortunately, I just don't have the answer, and I just kind of experiment each day with it, you know. And I know what I'd like to say is what most whatchamacallit. Hold on a second. Let's make sure I get the right. Let me get the screen shared up over here. Yeah, I wasn't even sharing the right screen here. So like, for example, again, to show you the difference, it's funny. I thought it was being shown. So this is what it looks like when I'm using just the regular. That's right, Kim. This is what it looks like when I'm using just the Sim Diversity Min Uniques 2. But when I was in portfolio diversification mode, again, I'm sorry, I was just sharing a window. I wasn't sharing a screen. That's why that wasn't showing up. But again, just to show you, you go into Portfolio Plus. That's what you do. No, what I was going to say is what I'd like to say is that stuff that all content providers say, and we're going to get to that. This is like one of my pet peeves. Like when someone says, well, do you prefer 5-man stacks, or do you prefer this, or do you play Min Uniques 2, Min Uniques 3? You know, people always say, they say, well, it's slate dependent. Yeah, that is true. Okay, but just because something is, you know, obviously everything is sort of slate dependent, but that doesn't mean there can't be some, you know, some at least, you know, go-to rules at least that you can think about. Okay. So here, when you go into portfolio diversification mode, we're actually in more Atlanta, as I mentioned before. And then again, when you get back into pitching, it's just a little bit different. Okay. So it's not. So I'd love to be able to say, well, I'll use the portfolio diversification mode when the slate is 11 games versus 6, or where there's chalk versus whatever. It's just not even like that. You just kind of have to pick something you believe in and go with it. I am inclined to kind of, I don't know yet. I go back and forth. Sometimes I do the portfolio diversification settings. Sometimes I go regular, and we'll see. Let's just wonder if it's important to resim once you're back into this portfolio diversification mode to see if that changes that way. Saber gives sheets to lucky lineups. No, it's not that. It's there's a special toggle that's up here, in this 3 thing, where it says options, advanced options, and then run hot. And if you're a real, you know, super user, you get access to the run hot toggle a certain amount of times. But if you overuse the run hot toggle, then it automatically goes you into run bad toggle at a 10-to-1 ratio. And that's something that you don't want. Okay. So you could, you know, listen, if I gave you guys access to that super premium version, I just worry that you would overuse the run good toggle, and then you'd end up into the run bad toggle. And we all know, Kevin, we all know what from poker, the downside and the pain that you get from like overusing your one time. You know, like you think about using your one time and you're sitting here in a freaking $500 tournament. You're like, oh, one time with an all in with like 17 people to go. And then like 2 years later, you know, when you're playing for like $1 million, you know, you're all of a sudden you're like, okay, I wish I'd never used that one time back when I was playing, you know, for 17th place in a $500 tournament. You know, it just reminds me, I mean, back when like right now, the Knicks literally can never win like a championship when I'm alive, you know, when I'm alive. I mean, they won one when I was really, really young, but I used my one time for the Knicks, you know, for the rigged draft with Patrick Ewing, you know, and I used it for that, and I thought that was going to be good enough to get the championship, and that didn't work out. So that all the good karma for the Knicks is gone. You know, all the good karma is gone. So be careful what you look for, what you wish for. So again, in portfolio management view, look at it. So 42% Bello, 23% Gilbert, and 21% Ray, as opposed to the other one, which was just completely different. You had all that Kyle Freeland. Okay. But just to do something, let's save these into the lineup so that we have it. You never use your one time. See, that's smart. You know what I mean? Because you just never know. You know, but then again, I don't know if you play enough now. You see, that's the thing. You gotta realize when you're gonna stop playing, I guess. And unfortunately, I don't think it's transferable to other disciplines. I don't think you can use a one time in poker for like something else. I think it's got to be used in poker. I'm not sure about that. Okay, let's pull up FanDuel, and we'll do the same thing. So we're gonna start with again just a look at the it's so funny. So now I have to entire screen. Okay, so we'll take a look at FanDuel. FanDuel, it's actually, you know, for a FanDuel slate, it's pretty freaking close. Pretty funny. Robbie Ray and Hunter Brown clearly at the top, but then I don't know. It's pretty close to these other guys: Bello, Gilbert, even Sonny Gray. So I think pitching on FanDuel could be spread out. And let's see FanDuel stacks. Now again, this is so weird. I have it. It's not letting me share the whole screen. It's only letting me share a window. So I have to figure out that setting. But this is what this looks like. So we're just looking at modified stack score on the right, and Atlanta #1, followed by Toronto, the Athletics, and Boston. So that's what we're going to be expecting. So let's do the same thing. Let's go into FanDuel and let's make sure we're on the right date. We're gonna quickly erase the memory of last night's slate. That's definitely what we're gonna do. And I don't even know. It's a weird slate because I don't even know what I did wrong. I don't even know what I had. I had some DeGrom, but not too much. I didn't know what I did have some Peralta, but not enough. It was just one of those days. All right, so FanDuel. We already have our stuff in the contest field now. In FanDuel, I'm playing like 150 because there's that $3. So I'm going to do that. So we're going to get to see more lineups get ranked here. So let's pull this up again. And again, you can use the TrueDFS, the regular, you know, interface, and get this stuff. All right, so same thing. I just do a quick look to make sure I'm not too over or under anybody. I'm not changing anything with the exposures. Let's just fire. Yeah, Eric, those two dudes are still live in the those two guys I have in the World Series. They made it through. I mean, they're as I mentioned before, you know, those guys are not really. I don't say anything. I mean, certainly they could win, but they're not really live to, like, you know, win something big like that. They're just a little too tight. But yeah, listen, I think that they both have like 150,000. I think they're both very live to make the money, which is, well, it should be good for them. But one of them, like I said, one of them had a nice score in that seniors event. So I'm free rolling that thing. All right. Oh no, update to SaberSim available. All right, God knows. God knows what they did. I'm afraid. All right, so let me again. Let's stop sharing the screen, and then we gotta again up. I want the whole screen. Why can't I do that? Okay. All right, so same thing. We're going to keep it in portfolio diversification mode, and we are going to run the contest sims, and we'll see what we get in that mode, and then we'll see what we get in the other mode. Now, I do think that this is like very, very shortcutty, but what you could say is that if a stack shows up in both modes, it's probably worth playing, you know. So I do see Atlanta showing up in a bunch, but again, the problem is that if you really think about these things on a portfolio level, your other lineups should be kind of feeding off of that Atlanta exposure. So like if you have Atlanta in some, you should probably also have some lower owned ones in others, or if you have Atlanta in some, maybe you should have the opposing pitcher in some others. So that's why, comparing or putting two, processes side by side and just picking one from the other doesn't really make sense. It's really just mixing apples and oranges and hoping that you get an apple orange smoothie or something like that. NFL round the corner, so to speak. Why, when there is a sure. I mean, Bobby believes that playing the 5-man of the most popular team is just not getting different enough, and that it's very hard to play the most. If a team's going to be popular, then the stack's going to be more popular. So, and if the stack's going to be more popular, that means the 5-man stacks of that team is going to be more popular. So he believes that not playing 5-mans of that team is a way to get access to it and get access to a good stack, but not put yourself in a position where you're too chalky. I think if he were here, that's what he would say. All right, so let's take a look. In portfolio diversification, we have, let's see what we got here. Let's look at the pitchers. So Robbie Ray, 16%, 15%, 100%. So like a whole bunch of different types of guys, okay? And then as far as team stacks, 25. I'll get to your question in a second, Gabriel. 26% Atlanta. So that this is the exposures when you're in this portfolio diversification mode. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go into uniques mode and see what that looks like. And I'm imagining it's going to be much more aggressive than something that looks at things on a full portfolio management basis. So let's take a look. We'll do this. And then we will resim. Okay. Wouldn't you be better off to fade than to pick the 2 3-mans that went off? I don't know. I believe that. I think that that playing non-5-man stacks is very difficult. I do. Bobby and I are just I don't know. What can I say? Sort of in disagreement about that. I just feel the correlation that's so important in baseball. I mean, you should try to access that. And if you don't like I said, like if you think Colorado's going to be too chalky, for example, or some team, let's say Atlanta, you think it's going to be too chalky, I think that you're probably better off just not getting as much of it than trying to play 3-mans of it. I been long disagreeing with Bobby on that, but who knows? Again, this is what's kind of cool about DFS is that, as Nate Bargatze says, nobody knows. But I do believe that playing 5-mans on big slates is pretty mandatory. Okay. And let's talk about something else. I want to talk about SaberSim and using SaberSim or any of these sim products, honestly, to help with your lineup builds. It teaches you like a lot about what lineups look good. Instead of, and one of the reasons why I do use SaberSim and I run them, I kind of trust it, is if I get like a whole bunch of let's just say a slate came up where I was getting a whole bunch of 4-mans or something like that, and not that many 5-mans, I would learn something. I would learn that maybe it's not as important to have 5-mans, So it's not. So I don't really use SaberSim or whatever to do what I want it to do. You know what I mean? Like I have it do what it wants to do and just try to learn from that. And that's just again, it's just a totally different way to think about these tools here. Now, interestingly, Will Warren is showing up as as a pretty good play in sim mode here. Let me just see something. Why is your... Yeah, again, this is very awkward about the screen sharing. I'm going to have Brandon look into this too, because no, this is good. This is supposed to... Oh, here I have a question. Okay, here's a question. And again, you're probably on a little bit of a delay. This is actually a very important question I have. Right now on your screen, okay, do you see my FanDuel lineups on the FanDuel site, or do you see some SaberSim screen? Now, again, I may be like 5 seconds delayed or something. So I want you to let me know right now, because it's weird. I think the way it should look, and I could obviously go to YouTube and check it out myself, but what I'm seeing is like bottom right, a picture of me with the, my background, not my background, with my office here, and then my FanDuel lineups. Do you see that, or do you see something else? Like, do you see the SaberSim thing? I'll wait to hear the answer to that. You do see FanDuel. Good. Excellent. Perfect. Okay, so it's not so much of a big deal with the screen share as I thought. Now we have SaberSim up. Okay, great. Okay. I think that's all that I have for today. Unfortunately, again, I'm pretty busy, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it back by 5:30 to do the live stream. At the very least, I will be able to put my projections up. I hope so, at least in time. But worst case, again, not worst case, other case, you could use the others. I'm going to be doing the golf early this week. It's going to be in 20 minutes. And then I'm going to do my MMA early this week again, just because I'm going to be out tomorrow. So I want to get those, at least something with those done, so you have something in your hands. I might be able to do follow-up. And don't forget, we'll get to this, but Scottish Open starts early. It starts like Thursday at midnight. So Wednesday into Thursday at midnight. So we have baseball today. I don't think I'll be here at 5:30, but I might. But at 1 o'clock in 20 minutes, we're going to do golf. And then at 2 o'clock, we'll do UFC. And go Bobby Firestone in the main event. Good luck, everybody.